When Jared passed away unexpectedly, his family was shaken to the core. He was the youngest of 3 siblings, a quiet but rebellious soul who had always felt out of place in the rigid, conservative family home. His parents were traditional, and his older sister Claire had always tried to walk the straight and narrow path. Jared, on the other hand, had embraced his true self openly and proudly. He was gay, a fact that he never hesitated to share with anyone, despite knowing it would cause friction within his family. The funeral was planned in the most solemn way, with Claire and their parents insisting on a quiet, respectful ceremony. But Jared had made his wishes clear before his passing. "If anything happens to me, don't make it dull. Don't let it be a boring traditional affair. I want a celebration of my life, not a mournful gathering." His words had been left in his will, a testament to his irrepressible spirit. As the day of the funeral approached, Claire, struggling with the weight of her grief, found herself at a crossroads. She loved her brother dearly, even though they had never seen eye to eye on many things. She wanted to honor him, but how could she balance his wishes with the expectations of their family? On the morning of the funeral, Claire received a message from one of Jared's close friends, Matt, who had been part of his circle for years. "Jared would have wanted a celebration," Matt wrote. "He didn't want us to cry, he wanted us to dance." That message struck a chord with Claire. She knew Jared well, and his life had always been about defying expectations, breaking free from the mold, and embracing joy in the face of adversity. So, despite the disapproving glances she knew she'd receive, Claire made a decision. At the church, the service began as expected, somber, quiet, and respectful. But as the eulogy came to a close, Claire stood up and whispered something to the priest, who raised an eyebrow but nodded in agreement. Claire motioned to the back of the room, and suddenly the doors burst open. A vibrant flood of colors, music, and people in elaborate, flamboyant outfits entered, turning the somber atmosphere into a surreal, unexpected spectacle. The family was in shock. Jared's parents looked bewildered as a group of Jared's friends entered, led by Matt, wearing rainbow-themed attire. The entire room seemed to shift as the music kicked in, Jared's favorite disco anthems, mixed with modern pop hits, filling the space with energy and light. The guests, many of them LGBTQ+ allies and members of Jared's circle, immediately began to dance, turning the funeral into a celebration of his life, rather than a mourning of his loss. Claire took the microphone and addressed the guests, her voice trembling but strong. "Jared wouldn't have wanted us to mourn him in silence," she said. "He would have wanted us to embrace who we are and live as loudly as possible, just as he did. So let's celebrate him, just like he would have wanted. Let's dance, let's laugh, and let's love." As the hours passed, the funeral became a joyous, heartfelt tribute to a life that had been lived unapologetically. Jared's family members, though initially shocked and hesitant, found themselves slowly drawn into the atmosphere. They joined the dancing, some teary-eyed but smiling, others reluctant but accepting. Jared's parents, after much inner turmoil, started to realize that this was, in fact, a perfect tribute to their son. It was loud, colorful, and true to who he had always been. By the end of the night, Claire stood by the door, watching the last of the guests leave, their laughter and energy still echoing in the distance. She felt a sense of peace knowing that, despite everything, she had honored Jared in a way that was deeply personal and true to his spirit. The lesson. This story highlights the clash between societal expectations and individual freedom, especially when it comes to expressing identity. Jared's family, initially struggling with his choices, ultimately found a way to embrace his true self, honoring him in a way that was uniquely his. The celebration of life, even in the face of loss, is about remembering the joy and love someone brought to the world, rather than focusing solely on grief.